All right, so I want to go through with you and give you the tools that you need just to be able to get started with being able to estimate your calorie needs reasonably accurate. There are some different variables. None of these are ever 100% accurate, but there are some simple tools that are free online. Just takes a couple minutes. You can go through and you can get started just so you have some idea of where you need to start with your caloric intake so that you can build a meal plan from there. So one of the first things that we're going to need actually to be able to do this and get a reasonably accurate estimate is your body fat percentage. There's a few ways to get your body fat percentage, the most accurate of which is usually a DEXA scan. If you're not willing to do that, or you don't want to pay for it, or you don't have someplace near you to be able to go for that, that's fine. There is other ways to estimate that. One tool that I found online that it might not be 100% accurate, as accurate as a DEXA scan. Surprisingly, I got a DEXA scan last weekend, and this tool actually gave me the exact same number. That's not to say that it's going to happen that way all the time, but it should be reasonably accurate enough to kind of put you in the ballpark in terms of just estimation purposes so that you can get a good idea where your calories need to be. So I just went to calculator.net, and they've got calculators for all kinds of stuff. But in the fitness and health section, there's one called Body Fat Calculator right here. That's the one I clicked on, and it's just going to ask you for some basic information. So I'm male, I'm 35 years old, I weighed 219 pounds at the time. I'm 6'2". My neck measurement was 17 inches, and my waist measured 36 and a half. And put all that in, hit calculate, and it gave me 18.6% body fat, which is exactly what my DEXA scan told me. Again, I don't expect that that's necessarily going to be the case for everybody that's going to be that accurate. This is just an estimation tool, but as you can see right here, it is used by the U.S. Navy, at least whatever formula that's behind this. So it should be pretty accurate, just in basic terms of being able to give you the kind of estimate that you need to be able to get started. So next, I just went to tdeecalculator.net, and TDEE stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure, and it accounts for your basal metabolic rate, which is just how much energy it takes to keep your organs alive, your tissues functioning, this, that, whatever. If you were laying around doing nothing, but sleeping or just sitting there doing nothing 24 hours a day. So that's this number right here, but it just needs some basic information from you. Again, I'm 35 years old, male, I weigh 219 pounds, and I'm 6'2". The body fat measure is optional, but you will get a more accurate result if you put that in. At least a reasonably accurate estimate. Doesn't have to be spot on, but you're better with that than you are without it. And then the one limitation of this this tool is it lumps in exercise and just general activity together. It doesn't separate the two. So I tend to kind of lowball my activity level. Generally, I average probably about 15,000 steps a day at work, 13 to 15,000. So I'm, generally speaking, I'm a pretty active person, plus going to the gym 5 days a week. I said moderate. Realistically, I'm somewhere in between, more like these two. But we'll hit recalculate, see what it says. All right, so I actually use a different tool than this. something we got with the Menno Henselman's PT course, that it measures the exercise and general activity separately, and it actually put me kind of right in between these last two in terms of maintenance calories, which, just based on monitoring my weight and how much I eat, is pretty accurate for me. So mine ended up being on the high side of all this. Yours may be a little bit differently, just depending on what your activity is. This doesn't necessarily take into account your thyroid activity. So if you do tend to be somebody with an underactive thyroid, that could throw this off a little bit. I can't stress enough, this is an estimation tool, and none of these are ever perfect. But they should provide you with enough information to be able to get started. Once you get going after a couple of weeks, if you need to adjust, you can. So just keep that in mind. Don't sweat whether it's 100% accurate or not right out of the gate. That'll just have you double thinking everything. This is just to provide you with a estimation so that you can get started. And don't pay any attention to any of this stuff below this on the page. Because right here it's telling me my ideal weight is 167 to 189. That's total nonsense. I would look like a string bean in that weight range. So that is not ideal for me whatsoever. I am slightly over fat, but again, you get into this stuff where right here, keyword, especially if you lift weights. So BMI and the ideal weight stuff. I lift weights 5 days a week, so these numbers don't really apply to me. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff down here with what it thinks your target macros and stuff should be. Don't pay any attention to that stuff whatsoever, okay? Just stick to this right here in terms of your estimated needs for calories. And again, this is going to give you an estimate for your maintenance calories, and that just means to be able to maintain body weight that you're currently at and at your current activity level. You're going to set a deficit from here depending on how aggressive you want to be. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 20%. So, whatever this number is, to lose weight, you're going to take between 10 and 20% off of this number, and that's what you're going to get started at, okay? So again, not a perfect tool, but this will give us what we need to be able to get started with, and ultimately, just based on what happens with our weight over the course of 2 weeks and thereafter, the rate of weight loss and seeing our waist measurement change, the data that we get from that is going to determine what we need to do next. So this is a starting point, and that's all it is. So don't look too far into this, okay? This is just about being able to get started and having some basic information to be able to do that properly, okay?